All right, in today's lesson, we are going to be creating a 1 point perspective cityscape. As you can see here, here is a cityscape created in 1 point perspective. You have the horizon line. Okay, you have the 1 point perspective vanishing point, and then the variety of buildings, and then a street. The objective is, of course, to create a 1 point perspective cityscape. You need to include at least 10 buildings. They need to be different sizes. You need to have windows on the front and on the side of some of the buildings to demonstrate mastery of the perspective. Okay. So as you see here, these side windows, all these lines are going back to the 1 point. Okay, to the vanishing point. So obviously, this student understands the concept. All right. You can have some doors, which I'll be demonstrating. Different types of, like here, this line could have gone all the way back here, and then that could have been a roof on that building. Okay. And they did a pretty good job here. This line here is going back. All right, let's look at another one. Okay, here's another example. All right, so of course, this student has met the objective. They've created a cityscape, 1 point perspective. They have at least 10 buildings. And then what I do is I go through and I'm just checking their line work. Okay, have they mastered the concept of 1 point perspective? And I'm just right now, I'm following the lines back. Do you see how that one's a little off, but it's still good. Okay. And then here they of course they here like this is above and beyond, right? So this project would earn a 4 for mastery. It's above and beyond mastery. Although there's a few little mistakes, they're very minor, but here they've gone above and beyond making the balconies. Gone above and beyond making the awnings. They've changed up the rooftop, so they're trying different types of roofs. Okay. And then, of course, this one here is definitely a 4. I can just by looking at it, I can see all the lines are going back to the vanishing point. Okay. The horizontal lines. All the vertical lines are straight up and down. They are perpendicular. This one's beautiful. And of course, they go above and beyond mastery. They have a carport, of course, different rooftops here, a balcony. Okay. Okay, this is before they colored it in. So this is kind of nice because you can see all their line work before they went in and colored it in. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now this is a really great example. So one, let's talk about this project. It's a definite. I would give it a 3, and the reason being is they understand 1 point perspective. Okay. They have the horizon line. They have the vanishing point. All of their horizontal lines are going back to the vanishing point. Okay. Now, maybe it's not the most creative, but it's extremely it's spot on. Okay, they understand the concept. All right. Okay. All right. And here's another great example. All right. So let's jump into Photoshop. So open up Photoshop. On this project, file new, and we're going to have it 11 by 8.5. It's landscape is the orientation. Okay. And just like you did with your barns, I'm going to use the brush tool. And I'm going to have it at about, I think, a 3. Let's see. Of course, you can get a new layer if you prefer. Okay. I like to design on separate layers, and at the end, I'll merge everything. So now it depends on if you want like a bird's eye view, you're going to put your horizontal line lower. Just kind of, I like to put mine right here on about a third. Okay. Now my line's not perfectly straight. Again, we've talked about if you want it straight, you can go to Windows, View, Show, and you can have the grid show. Okay. So my line's a little off. All right. So I'm going to put my perspective line here. Okay. And then I don't like working with the grid, so I'm going to turn the grid off. Okay, there's my perspective. Okay, I'm going to get a new layer. All right, so for my first building, I would recommend making a couple First of all, determine kind of where do you want your street. So let's say I decide I want my street here and here. Okay. And then I'm going to build some buildings here. I'm going to put some buildings over here. Okay. Maybe you also want a street in the middle. You could do that as well. Okay. So I'm going to start off here and I'm just going to make a building. Let's see. Again, I'll throw a stroke around that, which we talked about, like a 4, actually 3. I'll stick with the 3. Okay. Now, again, just like you did with your 1 point perspective barn, click once, go back to the vanishing point. Oh, might help if I'm on my brush tool. Click once, go back to your vanishing point. Okay. I'm going to square the building off here. Okay. Um, I'm actually going to do a round top here. It's kind of glitching. Okay. And then I'm going to come here. I'm going to click back. Okay. And then I'm going to repeat it at the end here. Okay. Now let's say I want, and then again, as I work, I like to go through and clean it up here. Okay. All right. Now, if I want this to be a let's say I want this a 2-story building. So just right here in the middle, click, and then take that back to the vanishing point. Okay. All right. And your buildings, I would just have fun with your buildings. They don't have to be to scale. We're just learning the concept right now. Okay. Maybe we want the door to match. Okay. And you might put in some windows here. Okay. Big window here. All right. And then again, you're just adding. Now, let's say we want to add behind it. We're going to put a building behind it. Okay. What you can do is you can work on a separate layer if you want. I'm just going to make a building here. This is what I really want to show you guys. I'm going to throw a stroke on it. Okay. Control D. Click once. I'm going to make the side of this building and the side. And then let's say I want it to come out all the way out to here. Okay. Now what do I need to do? I'm going to get my eraser. Okay. And then of course, you're not going to see this part, right? You're not going to see this part because why? Because it's behind the building. And there you go. And you wouldn't see that line because the building's covering it. So when we're working, I'm working with my layers, right? This is on layer 3. See how I did that? Now, when you say, "Well, but Miss Swanky, when I go to color it in and I use my magic wand, it's gonna bleed out." So what we end up doing is you'll end up at the very end when you're all said and done, you'll select all your layers, hold down shift, and then you'll merge. Okay. That way then it's a contained space. Does that make sense? Okay. I think over the years that we found that this is the best way to create this project. Okay. So again, just I would put so basically by the when you're all said and done, you'll have like 10 layers, a layer for each building, and then at the very end you merge them. Okay. So I'll make another one over here. Um, Actually, let me show you guys. We have enough time here. Let me show you how I would make a balcony. Okay. So if I'm going to make a balcony, I'm going to do kind of the exact same thing. Let's see here. So I'm going to make a square. Oh, wait. Oops. Let me get a new layer. Okay. So I'm going to make a square. Okay. I'm going to fill it. No, cancel. Sorry. I'm going to throw a stroke on it. Okay. Control D. And I'm just going to take that back. And then down. And then I'm just going to kind of take that in like that. And then take that down. Okay. So here now I have my little balcony. So it's the same kind of concept with the door. So I just make like the door that's sticking out and then run it back to the vanishing point, the horizontal lines, run it back to the vanishing point, and then repeat this right here. Okay. All right. So that would be like a little mini balcony. Of course, we need a door there. So let me get a, and then to make the door, let's say, well, the door would be, let's say here, it would go straight down, right? That goes back to the vanishing point. That goes straight down. That door's a little wonky, but you get the idea, right? And you can use your grid, okay? And then of course, whatever side you're more comfortable on, start designing, and then you can always jump over to the other side. The other recommendation is you can go on to the internet, okay, and just type in 1 point perspective cityscapes, and you can look at images and start to get some ideas. Okay. Please, please do not copy. Don't bring one in and then copy it. But you can say, "Oh, I really like that," or "Oh my gosh, look at that! That's super cool. I could do a river through it." Um, I could add. Oh, they have the Eiffel Tower. That's cute. And I could add some trees, but you don't have to have landscape. Okay. Um, but get some ideas for your buildings if you're not quite sure where to start. If there's a particular city that you love, okay, you can do that. We're not doing this type of perspective unless, of course, if that's what you want to do, you can. But we're not. I'm not teaching that. Okay. All right. Okay. Have fun, and I will be demoing every day in class, just little tiny tricks and different skills. Okay.